phần trình bày rất nhiều thông tin hữu ích của thạc sĩ bác sĩ Nguyễn Hoàng Long. Và sau đây, ban tổ chức xin mời quý bác sĩ cùng đến với những chia sẻ của Dr. Michael Ruma, một chuyên gia tiền sản tại Mỹ. Trong video ngắn này, Dr. Ruma sẽ nói về một số trải nghiệm của mình trong quá trình sử dụng các công nghệ và tính năng vượt trội của Philips, cùng một số hình ảnh thực tế. Xin mời bộ phận kỹ thuật ạ.
My name is Mike Ruma. I'm a maternal fetal medicine specialist. I work at Perinatal Associates in New Mexico. And what we're going to talk about today is the Epic and Affinity ultrasound platforms, the latest release of software, which incorporates a variety of new features. The EL184 linear pure wave transducer is a very impressive transducer to me. I've been amazingly impressed with the detail, the black and white contrast, not only in the near field, but all the way throughout the far field. There's excellent penetration to the transducer. The image quality and the detail resolution is remarkable. Seeing skin outlines, bone outlines that are crystal clear and absolutely sharp is really amazing. You can make out an absolute exquisite facial profile. What I'm impressed with looking at this EL184 image is just the crisp lines around the skin edge, actually being able to visualize the nostril, exquisite representation of the upper and lower lip. You can see the tongue very easily here. The maxilla and mandible is present as well. I think you will be impressed to see what it looks like in your hands as well. What do you think about that profile?
I can see the ear more.
What do you think that little bit of anatomy is?
The nose.
Looks like the nose, right? You can make out a beautiful skin edge here. You can make out a nice nose, upper lip here. This is the nasal bone, which is very beautifully imaged here. EL184 helps us highlight the heart in an impressive way. What you can see in this image, which often is difficult to see, is a near field, far field contrast of the cardiac silhouette. What I'm impressed with is the ability to see the myocardium in discrete contrast from the pericardial sac. You can easily see the actual foramen ovale opening and closing. The atrioventricular valves, we have the tricuspid and mitral valve here that look beautiful, and the interventricular septum, moderator band is demonstrated to us, and overall just an absolute crisp design and representation of the fetal cardiac structure. Another area where the EL184 demonstrates some very strong prowess is evaluating digits. You can see the hands of the fetus here clearly representing 5 fingers. You can actually count the metacarpals present within the digits, things that we would not ever attempt to do with any other kind of transducer. We could potentially count fingers, but this is really remarkable imaging. EL184 linear transducer has the capacity to use microflow as well. And what you can see in this is a beautiful cord insertion into the placenta. Often difficult to see, but the low flow characteristics and capacity of looking for low flow perfusion is really the high point of the EL184 with microflow technology. Just able to come up with some beautiful imaging of the placental cord insertion. This probe has a significant future in obstetrics. I think it has a significant future in maternal fetal medicine. When we look at areas where we might particularly want to use this probe in personal usage, it has helped me identify nuchal translucencies in difficult scenarios where previous I could not identify the nuchal translucency at all. In cardiac abnormalities, in heart cases when there are problems, delineating the underlying cardiac diagnosis is likely going to be much easier with this type of probe. We're going to use this new tool that sculpts and removes the extraneous information that we have on the side, uterus and placenta, and that's called A-reveal. And watch what A-reveal will do to this volume. It helps to illuminate and show the face off in a quick fashion without having to sculpt any information. Touch view is very interesting because instead of using rotational knobs to change the volume, you can simply use your hand. And not only can I rotationally use 2 fingers to move this in a Z plane like that, I can use a single finger to move the volume in an X as well as Y plane. And then we are going to bring up touch view to be able to put the light and drag the light for the patient, yourself, around the volume in an intuitive fashion, just like any smartphone at home. You can double click and place the light in multiple different places. And you can also bring the depth of the light in to provide some unique shadows and illumination to the fetal face. I can also rotate the baby using 3D touch view. You can see how the shadows move in a realistic fashion, in a very smooth and fluid fashion using touch view available on the Philips, Epic, and Affinity systems. True view is quite remarkable. You really get a true sense of what it would look like in absolute photorealistic fashion. The colorings, the shading, the tones are truly realistic. When we move to true view imaging, we have this pink hue that alone is simply coloring. But as you can see, what I've done here is I've brought the light actually within the left ventricle using the depth capacity, which is unique to true view, and allows the light to enter along a z-axis. And the light here in the left ventricle, as we've placed it there, allows us to see an illuminated left ventricle, the mitral valve. And what's very interesting to me is that the light actually penetrates into the left atrium, illuminates the top portion of the wall of the left atrium, but does not at all enter the right ventricle with no penetration through the ventricular septum, so that the light is actually acting as it really would if I put an orb of light within the actual cardiac volume. This personally helps me have a bit more confidence that there is no evidence of ventricular septal defect, and if there were, we would anticipate seeing light emanate into the right ventricle. So as we see glass view and we move into glass view analysis from true view, I think of glass view as looking at kind of a plaster of Paris poured into the cardiac volume and then removing the cardiac myocardium and being able to look into the chambers, the volume of the chambers, kind of in a translucent fashion. For me, what I can identify here is the left ventricle. I can see the aorta leaving the left ventricle, the right ventricle, and the pulmonary artery leaving. But what's particularly important in this imaging is that there should not be any fluid coursing across or any evidence of a chamber coursing across the interventricular septum, and I actually do not see that, which I believe is a good thing, again helping us provide clinical confidence that this is an intact interventricular septum and that this is a normal cardiac septum present in this volume. And that to me is one area in which glass view can shine and provide some clinical confidence for you and your patient. Philips has provided us with tools that were incredibly useful, faster, better image quality. We are seeing an evolution of ultrasound which is truly remarkable. The advances are truly useful. They are helping us with efficiency, they're helping us with detailed image quality, and providing the patient an incredibly enriched 3D volumetric experience. And I can't wait to see what the future is going to hold.